The GOAT. Is it Michael Jordan? Is it LeBron James? Do we gotta go back in time to someone like Bill Russell? Probably not. But the GOAT debate has been a fun one for the last 10 years or so. You see this argument everywhere. I mean, the amount of times I've seen this argument on ESPN is absurd. I've seen Stephen A say MJ, Shannon Sharp will defend LeBron till the last day of Earth. Barkley says Michael Jordan's the best ever. Gilbert Arenas says LeBron. So here it is. My official top 5 list of people who know ball. 5, Mike Breen. 4, Babytron. 3, JJ Redick. 2, Adam Silver, I would hope. And 1, well, everyone who actually watches basketball. Really, that's it. That's the most simple way to understand the game. Just watch it. You have a lot of people at platforms who really don't know what they're talking about at the end of the day, and it's not that they don't understand the sport of basketball, it's really they just don't watch. That's honestly it. And in basketball, there's 3 main questions we always wonder. First, who is the best player in the NBA? Second, are TJ McConnell and Miles Turner the new Shaq and Kobe? And third, who is the greatest basketball player of all time? We all know the answers to the first 2. Jokic, yes, so scratch those. But question 3, who's the greatest basketball player of all time? Or the GOAT? Obviously, we all know that's the most common basketball related question there is. And I saw a video a while ago, someone asked 100 NBA players who the GOAT is. But me personally, I'm a consumer of the NBA. I just watch it, I don't play in it. I'd say about 99.99% of the time when I'm having a conversation about the NBA, it's with someone who hasn't played in the NBA either. So I wanted to do something. Instead of asking 100 players, I asked 100 fans, diehard fans. I asked all 100 the same thing. Actually, I asked way more than 100 because about 100 more ducked me. But for everyone I asked, they got the same message. For a YouTube video, can you give me your top 5 players of all time in order? The reason I asked top 5, well, at the end of the day, it's kinda a 2-man race, but I wanted to see the difference of their final position. Spoiler though, the 2 guys you're thinking of, they accounted for 99 first place votes. One guy actually got a first place vote that wasn't them. And honestly, I wasn't mad at all at it. You'll see when we get to him. But no reporters, no players, no bias, just 100 people who watch basketball on a daily basis giving their 5 greatest players of all time. There actually ended up being a total of 14 different people selected, so 14 different players that 100 total people believe is a top 5 basketball player of all time. Let me show you how I ranked them. First, of course, how many lists did you show up on? If you show up on the same amount of lists, it was your average placement. Quick hint, 2 guys showed up on all 100 lists. Of course, one of them is Jameer Nelson, yes. But with everything out of the way, we may as well get into it. The list. And the guy that got placed onto one list, and on that list he was ranked 5th, Hakeem Olajuwon. A lot of people who grew up in the 90s look at Hakeem Olajuwon a lot higher than anyone who wasn't a thought in the 90s. Me. So yeah, I never watched Hakeem admittedly, but it's obvious how great he was. The 2 years MJ was out of the league, the dude took advantage in both of them, won a ring both years. Imagine you started to watch the NBA in 1991, champions go Jordan, 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 Hakeem, Hakeem, Jordan, Jordan, Jordan. If you started watching in 7th grade, no one else besides Jordan or Hakeem won a ring by the time you were legal to drink alcohol. Had to be exhausting at that point. Probably drank a crazy amount when you turned 21. But yeah, anytime you hear anyone talk about Hakeem Olajuwon, it's straight up how underrated he was. So I'm sure if I was asking for a top 10 list, he'd have a lot more placements. But for the top 5, Hakeem Olajuwon, 1 vote. But there were 2 other guys also who got 1 vote on the 100 list. The first of the 2 guys was Kevin Garnett. Garnett had an average placement of 4 on these lists. Cause, you know, he was put on one list and he was 4th. Anyways, you can't even be mad at Kevin Garnett being on someone's list. I mean, I get top 5 might be a little much, but I'm glad someone gave him his respect. Cause otherwise he wouldn't even be mentioned in the video. And if you know how good Kevin Garnett was, you know. This dude was responsible for the only time the Timberwolves made it out of the first round before Jaden McDaniels became the second coming of Michael Jordan last week. KG's pretty easily the greatest Timberwolf ever. Also, easily, in my opinion, a top 3 power forward of all time. He's an MVP, a Defensive Player of the Year, a champion. If you're a little younger, you know that old man KG from the Nets. or even KG from the Celtics, but Timberwolves KG is undoubtedly one of the best basketball players of all time. Plus, he undoubtedly has one of the greatest post-championship speeches of all time.
Anything's possible!
Easily one of the best speeches ever. But the guy who's the complete opposite of Kevin Garnett had a tie with him in 12th. Nikola Jokic. Also made one person's list, also 4th on that list too. The only tie this video, don't worry. But the way I feel about Kevin Garnett, I also feel about Jokic. Realistically, he isn't top 5 yet, at least for Jokic, but it's cool that someone mentioned him because otherwise he wouldn't be mentioned in the video. Jokic is already a 2-time MVP, he's about to be announced as a third, 3 in 4 years, he's an NBA champion, there's a chance he wins his second this year, and there's also a chance if this question was asked in 2 months, there'd be a lot more people than one who put him in the top 5. The Boston Celtics do still exist though, we'll see. But Jokic. Even though most people love Jokic, there's still some people who hate him. 2 years ago. Anyone else hate basketball player Nikola Jokic? Today. Archive post. My guy changed his mind. Makes sense. If the Nuggets win the championship, there's going to be some really awkward, I don't know. There's going to be some Jokic conversations though. Where does he rank all time? Definitely at least top 200. But I said that KG and Jokic are the complete opposite. I was being serious. KG gave us the anything is possible after winning his first ring. Jokic, well, here's him winning his first ring.
NBA champion, Nikola, how does that feel?
It's good. It's good. The job is done. We can go home now.
Moving on from the people who got one vote, someone who showed up on 14 different lists, Steph Curry. On the 14 list Curry was on, he had an average placement of 4.2. This one surprised me, not because I don't think Curry's an all-time great, obviously he is, but 14 people put him in their top 5. 14 people is a lot. 5 people isn't a lot of room. Shout out to Curry though. Pretty confidently, I could say that no one's ever changed the game the way he has. The guy pulls up from 94 feet, then turns around and runs away knowing it's dropping. Like he's got 2K sliders on. But I personally enjoyed watching Curry play so much, especially that 2016 season. That was special. Only unanimous MVP ever. Curry's a 2-time MVP, 4-time champion. I know the Warriors suck today in 2024, but I wouldn't really say it's Curry's fault. Yeah, he didn't have the best season of his career, but man, that squad around him was pretty rough this year. And Magic Johnson can't believe they're not in the playoffs either. NBA fans, I'm still in disbelief that LeBron James, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant are all out of the playoffs. Death, taxes, Magic Johnson bot tweets. Only 3 guarantees in life. Anyways, Steph Curry, completely deserving of being mentioned in this video. 14 people put him in their top 5 players of all time list, but getting 2 more votes than Curry, putting him 10th, 16 people put Bill Russell in their top 5. This is where it gets interesting, because a lot of the time, a lot of older people, honestly, I've heard a lot of people put him first all time. The argument's the rings, of course. 11 rings in 13 seasons, the most rings out of anyone ever, probably a record that no one's ever else going to come close to. Although Peyton Watson currently has an NBA championship at 100% rate in his career, so you never know. But it's hard to take anything away from what Bill Russell accomplished in his career. On top of the 11 rings, he has 5 MVPs. He just did everything. Alright, look at these 3 players. Jackie Robinson, Wayne Gretzky, Bill Russell. What do these 3 players have in common? I'll give you a second. Got it? It's the only 3 players to have their numbers retired league-wide. Do you know how much of an impact you have to have on your sport for your jersey number to be retired league-wide? Bill Russell used to beat the Lakers every season, and now no one on the Lakers is allowed to wear number 6? Think about that for a second. But yeah, Bill Russell, the guy who changed basketball forever, the best winner in the sport's history, ranked 10th. But getting one more vote than him, the guy who ended up getting placed 9th, we have Larry Bird, who showed up on 17 list. On the 17 list Bird was on, he had an average placement of 4.9. That's important because there's someone else who was on 17 list, just with a higher average. Bird's an interesting player though. He didn't have the longest NBA career, mainly because he got hurt shoveling. I'm not even joking. In mid-1985, Bird injured his back shoveling crushed rock to create a driveway at his mother's house. At least partially as a result of this, he experienced back problems for the remainder of his career. He was the best basketball player on the planet. He could have just hired someone. But when Bird did play, he was genuinely one of the greats. 3 MVPs in a row, 3 championships. I feel like Jokic and Bird have the exact same game. Slow, could shoot, could find the open man every play, could rebound, but mainly keep the game at their slow pace and control it. I know they're a center and a small forward, but you get what I mean. But Bird was just about the last guy you felt like playing on a night-to-night basis. Imagine having to guard Bird. He tells you he's going to take you into the post, take 3 dribbles, fade away, make the shot, and then does exactly that the very next play and the rest of the night. So many players have said how much they hated playing against Larry Bird. I saw this. Imagine telling a non-basketball fan that this man was the biggest trash-talking psychopath to ever play in the NBA. This is the dude who says it's disrespectful when a white guy guards him. Larry Bird, ranked number 9, plus responsible for the greatest commercial in basketball history.
The Converse weapon, that's the shoe that's magic, do what he was born to do.
It may be so, but that's not all. They let Isaiah play like he's 10 feet tall.
For the kind of moves that never fail, the weapon's the choice of Kevin McHale.
The same is true for Mark Aguirre. When I wear weapons, I'm on fire.
Well, what can the weapons do for King? Well, I can do just about anything.
You already know what you did for me.
What?
I walked away with the MVP.
The Converse weapon, the #1 weapon in the NBA.
I said that there was someone else who also got 17 votes. That was Shaq. The only difference is Shaq's 17 votes. He had an average placement of 4.2, 0.7 ahead of Bird. So with that, Shaq comes in at number 8. I mean, we all know how great Shaq was. A lot of the times, you hear him labeled as the most dominant player of all time. Anyone who says that never watched prime Glenn Davis. But Shaq was good too. Good enough to win 4 championships and an MVP. Shaq dominated everyone he played against. Well, almost everyone. Shout out Yao. But for Shaq, we've never really seen anything like him in the modern era. Someone big like that who was just unguardable every single possession offensively. I guess maybe Embiid is the closest thing, where they're just unstoppable scoring the ball. But Shaq was unstoppable. And he went from being one of the best players ever to being on the best basketball show on TV. A pretty solid career.
And AD they both play well. The Lakers gonna be tough to beat, but that's the one thing you got to worry about, man. Them young boys coming.
They are down 3 games to 2.
Moving into the latter half of the list, number 7, showing up on 2 more lists than Shaq and Bird, Wilt Chamberlain, 19 lists. On those 19 lists, Wilt had an average placement of 4.2. Wilt was one I wasn't sure about. I didn't know if he was going to show up on 5 lists or 50, so I wasn't really going to be surprised with any amount that happened. I know a lot of people think he played plumbers and firemen, well, because he literally did. If you weren't Wilt Chamberlain or Bill Russell then, you were working a second job. But that doesn't take away from everything that Wilt accomplished. It's undeniable what he did. He literally averaged 50 points per game and scored 101 game. I never heard anyone say that Damian Lillard dropped 71 on Twitch streamers, so it doesn't count. Life just changes with the times. So you gotta compare what a guy did versus other players in his era. How was Wilt versus Wes Unseld or Bill Russell? Not how would Wilt match up against Joel Embiid. Low-key though, one thing we don't talk about when we talk about Wilt Chamberlain, my guy had the deadliest turnaround jumper of all time, no questions asked. And yes, I know Dirk Nowitzki existed, but Wilt elevated like 20 feet off the ground. Plus, G Herbo made this.
Then I walked in the house one day with a Wilt Chamberlain, all hundreds.
Just a classic tone. But following Wilt, a placement I was shocked about, Kobe Bryant, 6th. Kobe Bryant was put onto 29 lists. That's what surprised me the most. Kobe only made 29 lists. I feel like the NBA community loves Kobe Bryant. He's everyone's favorite player. And in those 29 votes, he had an average placement of 4.5. But although I was shocked, I do think it's a fair placement. 6 is around where Kobe probably ranks all time. I've seen him everywhere from 3 to 12, so 6 makes sense. But Kobe Bryant, MVP, 5-time champion, probably the most universally loved NBA player of all time. I mean, you throw a paper ball into a trash can, someone who has never even heard of Kobe Bryant before still knows to say Kobe. One of the most fun players ever to watch. And a lot of the time, we see LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan together. That's just like a 3 that goes together. Shrek, Donkey, Fiona, Rock, Paper, Scissors, Blood, Sweat, Tears, LeBron, Kobe, Jordan. I think when we say this trio though, it's more of an impact factor. 3 of the most impactful and beloved players of all time. I don't think it's necessarily the 3 greatest players of all time, although some people do think it is, but Kobe ended up placing 6th, and undoubtedly, this is one of my favorite Kobe Bryant related videos of all time.
Snapchat, man. Hey, don't act weird, man. I'm just a fan. Should've stayed with the Lakers. Kobe all day. Kobe, 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 Kobe. Kobe, Kobe, Kobe.
Placing 5th, I was actually surprised he placed so high. Not that I disagree in the slightest bit, but Tim Duncan came in 5th. Tim Duncan showed up on 35 lists, and in those lists, he finished with an average placement of 4.1. Remember when I said one person that wasn't LeBron and Jordan got a first place vote? Well, that was Tim Duncan. And to be completely honest with you, I don't hate it. I've always had that question, why does Tim Duncan go so unnamed in the GOAT conversation? 5 championships, 2 MVPs, one of the best defenders of all time, one of the best winners of all time. It never made sense to me why he goes so untalked about in the greatest ever conversation. But then again, there are so many great players. I think a big factor though is that he was just so quiet. The loudest he ever was when he smiled on the bench and got ejected. And on top of that, he has maybe the most boring game of all time. Well, to the casual fan at least, you know we didn't think Timmy D's game was boring. Guy had the most lethal post-up of all time. Plus, remember I said Larry Bird would tell you what he's going to do and then do it right to you? Duncan had a different method. He would take you in the post, hit you with the drop step, score on you every possession, end with the final stat line at 36 and 12, and then after the game congratulate you for trying really hard. It's just funny, we don't see players like that too often anymore. I mean, there's Kawhi now, and Jokic is pretty quiet too, but Duncan is just the OG there. The dude was just quiet. Here's one of my favorite Tim Duncan interviews ever though. Listen closely to what he says. Now we go to the top 4. These are the only 4 guys to make over half the list. In 4th place, we have Magic Johnson. Magic ended up on 53 of the list, and on the 53 list, he had an average placement of 4.2. I mean, of course Magic Johnson was going to be here. The greatest point guard of all time, 5 championships, 3 MVPs, probably the greatest passer the game's ever seen. He's literally the leader of a team called Showtime. And really, the NBA wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for Magic and Bird. Of course, Jordan did what Jordan did for the sport, but Magic and Bird were the beginning of the major popularity in the NBA. And for good reason. 2 of the most exciting players of all time. Side note, I was researching Magic for this. I came across this. Name one thing Magic Johnson can't do. I'm serious guys, I think he's definitely one of the all-time greats. My friend just asked me this and it got me thinking. Please respond with serious answers only. Did this guy really think he was getting serious answers? This is what he got. Donate blood, naturally fight off infection, write controversial tweets. We already know about that one. But Magic Johnson, 4th place on the list, and don't even think for a second that he'll be there.
I've been talking to people walking here. We've been talking about next year, and I'm sitting there saying, I'm not going to be here.
Now we got the top 3. I think we all knew who the top 3 were going to be. It just came down to what the order was. Well, really, the order of the top 2, because number 3 is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. If there's any number that's dead set for a player, it's number 3, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Look at this. Yes, this is from my notes app, but the Kareem voting. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3. 99% of Kareem's votes had him 3rd. And Kareem actually ended up showing on 97 of the 100 lists. So almost all, he's a 6-time MVP, a 6-time champion, the 2nd all-time leading scorer. There's really no argument for Kareem not to be here. If anything, there's only arguments for Kareem to be higher. Genuinely, one of the most dominant players of all time. But enough of that. The 2 guys you want to see. And 2 things. First, of course, both these guys showed up on every list, so it came down to average placement. And second, it was genuinely ridiculous how close this was. So well, let's see who finished where. Coming in at 2nd with an average placement of 1.58, LeBron James. I'm sorry LeBron fans, I know you guys wanted him to be number 1. Honestly, I had to recount this like 4 times. This was way too close. But at this point, 1 or 2 is really the only respectable placement for LeBron James. 4-time MVP, 4-time champion, the NBA's all-time leading scorer, Although the Lakers just got beat up by the Nuggets for the second straight year, the series doesn't fall on LeBron. The Lakers are just not nearly as good as a team as the Nuggets are. If I had to guess, LeBron probably has somewhere from like 1 to 3 years left. I'd love to see him win another ring in that time span, I can't lie. How do you not want to? The other day though, I came across the weirdest post I've ever seen, but maybe the funniest. This is LeBron James as a pine cone floating over an ocean. What emotion does that give you? I'm fine. It does not give me an emotion. There's no reason that should make me laugh. Sometimes I can't believe these kinds of humans are real people. Still funny though. Anyways, LeBron James, second place. And of course, who else was going to be in first place than Michael Jordan? Well, it could have been LeBron, but compared to LeBron's average placement of 1.58, Michael Jordan had an average placement of 1.48, exactly 0.1 better. It's crazy how 50-50 this conversation is nowadays. But Michael Jeffrey Jordan, a 5-time MVP, 6-time NBA champion, 6-0 in the NBA Finals. 10 years ago, if you said the GOAT in basketball, it was automatically Michael Jordan. There was no question about it. Today in 2024, you gotta specify. That's the point we're at. But it seems like there's just a very good possibility this debate ends 50-50. I think another LeBron championship will make a big push for his name and move a lot of people from the Jordan side to the LeBron side. But if that doesn't happen, there's a good chance we're stuck in this center spot. The unanswerable question. So let me know, who do you genuinely think the greatest player of all time is? Is it LeBron? Is it Jordan? Is it someone else? That's up for you to decide. You let me know. And also while you're at it, let me know what emotion LeBron James as a pine cone floating over an ocean gives you.